My name is Patrick Regan. I am living in Anchorage, Alaska. I am the coordinator of activities and events for bridging communities through alternative communication, or BCTAC for short, and its co-president. BCTAC is an adult outreach program of the Bridge School. I am here with two of my BCTAC friends and colleagues, Thanh Diep and Renze. And we have short video testimonials that include two more of our fellow BCTAC Leadership Committee members. I am putting my BCTAC@bridgeschool.org email in the chat. If you have questions after we have finished today, you can send them to that email address, and I will get them to the correct person. But, depending upon the question, we may likely respond together. BCTAC is a group of adults who experience physical and speech disabilities. Most, but not all, of the members attended the Bridge School. I became the coordinator of activities and events in 2019, having been the co-coordinator since 2014 and co-president since 2015. My role as the coordinator of activities and events is to make the arrangements for tax activities and events. And as the coordinator and also co-president, I steer tax leadership committee. I prepare the agenda with input from the rest of the leadership committee, keep the calendar and the notes, send out the reminders for our meetings and get-togethers, organize and arrange for the activities. I facilitate and moderate the meetings. And I also adapt activities for the group. BCTAC started out as a formalized program. We have a mission, vision, and goals. Thanh Diep will be telling you more about that formalized aspect of BCTAC in a few minutes. But we have become a tight-knit community of friends who show up for each other, respect, trust, and care for each other, celebrate each other's accomplishments, and support each other during difficult times. Our journey to what the consortium has been referring to as an organic peer-to-peer support group happened over time and in stages. Before the pandemic, the BCTAC Leadership Committee met about once a month to plan monthly activities for the group. Those activities were primarily in-person activities, with a few members attending virtually if virtual access was available. We had one or two larger in-person events per year, like a bowl-a-thon fundraiser or ice skating event. And every few years we had an in-person retreat. We were required to tie all of our activities into TAC's mission, vision, and goals. Thanh will describe those to you now.
In the chat, Kirk says, "Go Patrick."
I need a minute to share her video.
Hi, my name is Thanh Diep. I'm a co-coordinator, and when it is not on pause, I am the treasurer for bridging committees through augmentative communication, BCTAC, formally. It is a group of adults with unique abilities to come together to share experiences and ideas, collaborate to plan meaningful events, and develop ways to raise awareness of individuals who use AAC devices. Our vision is to be a voice that reaches across communities. We are committed to making a difference in not just our own lives, but in the lives of other individuals who use AAC. We are invested in sharing our message that regardless of physical abilities, AAC users are just like everyone else. We're an outreach program at the Bridge School.
In the chat, Otto says, Patrick, you are my hero.
The pandemic upended some things. We found ourselves at home, with our families providing our supports, because our staff was isolating like we were. Some of our members were in assisted living or group homes that were short-staffed and could not allow families to visit. And during that time, some of our members moved farther away from the Bay Area to be closer to their families. And the Bridge School was focused on adapting the delivery of services to their students using WebEx, delivering materials to them, and working with families to help provide our in-person supports. They were very busy with the young students, but the BCTAC Leadership Committee had already been meeting on virtual platforms before the pandemic started. So, we scheduled our leadership committee meetings on Fridays, and we started meeting every Friday for the purpose of catching up on some projects that we had started before the pandemic. The Bridge School provided us with a budget, set guidelines for us to be able to make our BCTAC social media posts, and responded to our requests for assistance troubleshooting the difficulties some people were having with getting into the virtual meetings. I met regularly with my manager at the Bridge School, planning, going over the budget and expense requisitions, and more. and our group focused on projects like updating our in case of emergency or ICE cards, preparing a presentation for the Bridge Schools Board of Directors, and drafting social media posts. I thought that the planning meetings would become shorter because we did not have to cover as much in a meeting as we did when we were meeting only once a month. But with the stress, uncertainty, and isolation that the pandemic brought, it became clear that the leadership committee wanted to spend more time together. My manager said it would be fine to have a happy hour. So I just went with it. We added Taco Tuesdays, which were a time for team building and just decompressing. At first, I facilitated discussions at Taco Tuesday, but then we and our families and staff chatted and told jokes, shared information about where we live, watched concerts online, and more. There were other members who wanted to join us, but they were in day programs that were continuing to meet virtually during the week. So, we also added a social meeting on Saturdays. That meant that some of us were meeting 3 times a week. Maybe that seemed like a lot of meetings, but our core group of leadership committee members and some of the general membership showed up regularly. And people were disappointed if we had to cancel a meeting because of technical problems or something like that. And in all honesty, because of the lockdown, most of us were just staying at home. So, with some input from parents, helpers, and Big TAC members, I worked on finding games that were accessible or could be adapted. After a while, I asked the other members of the leadership committee if they wanted to take turns leading the discussions at Taco Tuesday, and they jumped at the opportunity, filling in 3 months of weekly Tuesday meetings. We agreed that the person leading the meeting could choose any topic that they wanted to present to the group and then ask some questions to get the group involved in discussion. Some of us talked about our art. Some of us talked about issues that were bothering us, like anxiety or difficulties finding staff, pain, or difficulties getting durable medical equipment. We passed the time learning more about each other and using our AAC. And that is how we bonded. Our friendships deepened. In the fall of 2021, the Bridge School removed the formal requirements, telling us to make it our own and just have fun. They were busy supporting their students as they were transitioning back into the classroom, responding to the ongoing pandemic issues, working on their AAC by the Bay conference, and more. So, mostly on our own, we continued to do our planning and do virtual activities together. But we chose what we wanted to do without specifically thinking about the mission, vision, and goals. And I think that we reduced the number of meetings then to every other Tuesday, alternating with one weekend day every other week. So we met once a week. And some of our members started going out in their communities a bit more. Then, in the fall of 2022, the Bridge School was busy filling some staffing vacancies, organizing and planning. And with the staffing shortages, they decided to pause BCTAC as a formal program. But our group did not want to stop meeting online. So I asked Vicky Casella if we could continue to use the Bridge School's virtual meeting platforms and some of the services that had already been paid for by BCTAC funds. And she agreed. Because the others wanted it, I kept the meetings going. But we did all of our planning in just a couple of sessions. And we changed to meeting one Tuesday and one weekend day a month. I have continued to adapt games for us to play with the goal of facilitating conversation and interactions, fun and relaxation. We play bingo, using Bingo Baker to customize the cards, tic-tac-toe in teams with trivia questions based upon a theme, like Halloween, Never Have I Ever, Would You Rather, and an adaptation of the game Name That Tune, which we turned into a multiple-choice game called Name That Artist, and more. I further adapt the games for our member who experiences autism by turning abstract questions like in the game Would You Rather into more concrete questions. For example, would you rather eat vanilla or chocolate ice cream became 2 questions. Do you like vanilla ice cream and do you like chocolate ice cream? I did that in response to his parents' observation that abstract questions are difficult for him. Tyson found Bingo Baker for us, and I make the cards with input from the others. Ton helps me come up with questions for Never Have I Ever and Would You Rather. Reuben joins us to help plan the themes. And Clay and his parent make game suggestions. And we have continued to hang out online and enjoy each other's company. And even with the lack of direct accountability for our activities to meet the mission, vision, and goals of BCTAC, we nevertheless have met them. We are supportive of each other's communication. All of our activities involve us using our AAC, and we accept all forms of communication, including yes or no responses, gestures, vocalizing, and more. Ton has become my co-coordinator. Reuben, Clay, Tyson, and Sam have all helped with planning the games. And members who were previously sporadic in attendance are now regulars. During the time since the beginning of the pandemic, We have all gained confidence in speaking using our AAC, reaching out and branching out. Here are some videos from Tyson, Reuben, and Play, describing what BCTAC and our current friends group means to them, and some additional testimonials from families and other members.
Patrick, we have some comments in the chat too. The person signed into the account, Oregon F2FHIC, says, great ideas about adapting the game to support all members. Becky says, the Aphasia Center has a very successful pizza game night once a month. We have adaptive board games. And Amy says, what a great group effort to adapt materials and make the gatherings engaging and interesting. Sophie says, great work, Patrick. Otto says, I love your attention to inclusion and accessibility. Becky says, fabulous.
Since the pandemic, we have been getting together and having fun with each other virtually. I can socialize and keep in touch with my friends. Some of them live as far as Alaska and Oregon. It is very important for me to have a social network with them because it helps me to be less lonely and bored. I feel like I have gotten closer to them by spending all these times together, and our friendships have gotten stronger. We have social meetings, take turns leading discussions, celebrate our birthdays together, watch concerts, play games, and share our artwork with each other virtually. It's all convenient for me because I don't have to depend on anyone to take me anywhere.
The lockdown during COVID, our group that is called Bridging Communities through Alternatively Communication became a really tight-knit group of good friends because of technology we have available to us. We met online during the shutdown of the height of COVID, and everybody that in the group bonded. We all became really close friends, and we count on each other. We are actually in other AAC groups, and we have an impact on these groups that we belong to. I think this is an amazing group to belong to because we are leaders. I find that we go to each other for advice in different situations that we are in, and I believe that we all support each other as human beings.
I like TAC friends because it is fun to play games with them. I like playing bingo because I enjoy helping and interacting with my friends with TAC. It is important to me to interact in the variety of games like bingo and music trivia, name that song, with TAC friends, because they know me and my way of communicating with my speech device well, and this includes good patience for our interactions. I also enjoy celebrating birthdays and holidays with my friends of TAC.
My name is Clay Holquist, and I am a graduate of the Bridge School. For me, BCTAC has been more than just a weekly meet-up group. This is a family to me. We are always there for one another, through the good and the bad. Whenever I have faced an obstacle, whether it is my device, chair, or even doctor recommendations. My BCTAC family is there to support me. I have had so many great experiences during our outings, and over the web for our Sundays and Taco Tuesday hangs. I wouldn't trade that wacky bunch for anything in the world.
We have some more comments in the chat. Rachel says, love it. Do you think there would have been the same push for accessibility without the catalyst of the pandemic driving the need to do things virtually? Otto says, I believe the benefits and barriers to peer-to-peer groups are very similar to accessing our AAC devices in the first place. Alyssa says, sounds true. Grant says, I am so sorry I did not know about this. It sounds great.
Thank you for all of the comments.